Welcome to the Tales to Inspire podcast. Before we get started on this episode, I would like to invite you to our community so that you can hear more stories to inspire change within your life and positive change within the systems in which we live. All I want you to do is to click on the subscribe button. Your comments mean the world to us with anything that's resonated with you, and I absolutely love your support. I can't wait to go on this journey alongside you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Let's get into today's episode. We first began sharing stories at Tales to Inspire back in November 2019. What started as a simple idea, creating space for people to share their lived experience, has now grown into something bigger than we ever imagined. To date, we've shared the stories of over 165 people from across the world. Stories rooted in honesty, vulnerability, and the everyday challenges so many of us face. Mental health, identity, purpose, recovery, and what it really means to live well. At the heart of all these conversations is a simple truth. Our well-being is deeply connected to how we live, how we connect, and how we care for ourselves. Today's episode brings together something that shows up time and time again across our conversations. Sometimes it shows up quietly, sometimes powerfully. It's movement. In this episode, I'll be sharing snippets from past conversations that beautifully highlight the importance of movement for our well-being. You'll hear reflections from three of our incredible Tales to Inspire champions: Meg Holloway, Emma Marshall, and Raji Sundar. While Tales to Inspire is about sharing stories, these stories are never just for listening. They're here to ignite a spark, to remind us of what we already know deep down and sometimes forget. In episode 144, Meg Holloway takes us back not years, but thousands of years, reminding us that movement has always been a fundamental part of human life. Most of human history, movement wasn't optional or scheduled, it was simply how we survived, connected and existed. And now, for the first time in human evolution, many of us are living lives that are largely sedentary. Meg highlights something that research strongly supports. Our bodies are not designed to be still for long periods of time.
Okay, so I could literally talk all day about this, but I'm going to try and keep this really concise. So if you think about like thousands and thousands of years ago, think about how long we've been on this earth, right? As Homo sapiens, right? All we did is move. We moved in our tribes, we moved to find food, we moved to find sleep, we moved to find shelter, like whatever it is, we're always moving. Sometimes we were running for our lives, but we were always moving. I believe we're not supposed to be sedentary, and there is plenty of research to say that the minute you start having a sedentary lifestyle, that is when we get sad, we get anxious, we get bored. So movement is basically part of like our DNA, if you like. So if you ask my mum, she'd say I danced before I could walk. I've always dancing is my first love above anything else. I've always danced as a kid. And I try and make this like the shortest, longest of the longest story ever. But when I danced all the way through school, did all the qualifications. And when you were a kid, you know, you used to say with your friends, like, oh, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like, I always felt quite smug because I was like, I'm going to be a dancer. First, I'm going to be a dancer, and then I'm going to be a dance teacher, because to me, movement was like the best way I could express myself. I was always a bit of a chatterbox, and I enjoyed writing and all that kind of thing. But dance, to me, moving, was how I expressed myself. And then when I was about 17, 18, I had a really bad back injury, which was because I didn't warm up or cool down. But that's another story for another day. Anyways, had this back injury and developed this fear of dancing again, I guess, for this like fear of movement, because I was so scared of causing this pain again. I literally wouldn't wish it on. Back injuries are awful. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Then kind of fast forward 10 years. So for most of my 20s, I definitely didn't dance, but I didn't do a lot of fitness either. I didn't like try to go running or join like sports teams or anything like that. So other than maybe walking and hiking and skiing, I didn't do any other kind of movement because I was so scared I was going to cause this injury again. And then towards the back end of my 20s, I went through quite a big breakup, and I found myself like, oh my God, I'm so bored. And I'm also super boring. I had no hobbies, nothing. And I remember seeing on social media this like advert for this like dance fitness class. And I remember texting my mum and being like, do I do it? Do I not? And she was like, just go. It's 60 minutes is not gonna like hurt you. And I went along and literally like I fell in love with it. Now I was at the back of the class. I wasn't in time. Everybody else seemed to know the moves, but me, like I was just rubbish. But I came out and it was like this like euphoria, and I just couldn't stop smiling. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, I lost the love of dancing, like the love of movement. Anyways, that was like 4 years ago now. And I've got a part of one of my businesses is being a dance instructor, because when I say I threw myself into it and was like, right, that's it now.
What's remarkable is that science backs this up in powerful ways. When we move our bodies, even gently, several important things happen. Endorphins are released, often called feel-good hormones, helping us reduce pain and lift our mood. Serotonin and dopamine increase, supporting emotional balance, motivation, and mental clarity, which is so important. Cortisol, our stress hormone, is regulated, helping calm the nervous system, which once again makes such a difference in our lives. Blood flow to the brain increases, improving focus, memory, and cognitive function. Movement also supports better sleep. It supports reduced anxiety and depression. It's proven to improve our immune function. In short, movement doesn't just change our bodies, it changes how we feel, how we think, and how we cope. Emma Marshall, founder of Movement is Medicine and a brilliant Tales to Inspire champion, takes this idea even further in episode 146. Emma speaks about movement not as fitness, but as a reminder that we are alive. That through movement we connect with sensation, breath, rhythm, and presence. Something that many of us have lost touch with in a world that is constantly pulling us into our heads. Emma, why is movement so important for well-being?
So essentially, any type of movement allows us to realize that we're alive. That's the key. So we're designed to move. That is the premise of why mammals all over the world are always moving, and human beings have become extremely still. So for example, in our capitalistic life, we sit at a desk all day, even eating our lunch at our desk. And then we maybe get the bus home or drive home. There's literally barely any movement. And this is why gyms were obviously invented. It was like, this is your space to go and move. But for the majority of people, movement is actually a lot more simple. Walking, even dancing, of course, things like cycling, these active forms of movement that you can actually just do kind of quite simply, you don't have to join a gym necessarily, are happening less in our society, I would say. People don't see walking as a form of movement or even exercise anymore. It's a necessity. And so with that in mind, we've really got to plug it into people that movement is key, not only for your physical health, but also your mental health. It's all the same thing. And it's because of the nervous system. So our nervous system is a movement system. It's a motor system. So when your nervous system is in movement, it allows you to realize I'm safe, I'm cool, I'm here, I'm present, I'm well. And that not only affects your mind, but also your body.
So then how does that change with this is perfect for you, is dance. Yeah. So how is dance different to movement, or is it the same? And what are the differences?
So, it's the same. It comes under the umbrella of movement. My whole thing though is that with dance, in the way that I teach it, we're not teaching it for choreography. So of course there's amazing choreographers that do their thing and they teach choreography. We're teaching people how to just tune into just moving their bodies, which is so simple and so alien. The fact that we have to teach people this, it just kind of says where we're at as a society. You should just be able to feel comfortable just moving and dancing, but people don't. So I always say to people, I'm like, look at kids. When you put some music on and then you look at a child who is under the age of 3, they'll just start to dance. They don't care. We come too into our heads. We come too into the ego mind. So what dance is it's a way, first of all, it's cheap. You can do it wherever. You don't need any tools. You don't need to necessarily know anything. You don't have to learn anything. It's just about you tuning into your body and then the music and then being able to express yourself through that.
Man, and then in that side of things, how do we as a society start to use dance and movement to change the way where we're at right now?
So I think that redefining exercise is where we need to start, because even that term has become quite loaded for people. They're just like, oh, exercise. Like, no, it's not my thing. I don't like exercising. And it's like, do you walk? Like, can you put some music on in your house and just dance? Even if it feels really silly, like just shake it all about. That is movement. And just getting people to redefine what their definition of exercise is will help, because when we look at the blue zones, which have been shown to be some of the healthiest places in the world, these different countries such as in Greece and Italy and Japan and those kind of places, their movement is not gyms. Their movement is all daily life. And even part of that is like dance in their own little ways, but like walking to go and get food, walking to go and see a neighbor, like these are the forms of movement that these people are doing, as well as gardening. And, you know, these kind of things that we just need to understand, that is exercise. We've just kind of created a whole industry based around what you look like, not about what you actually feel like. And then, of course, that term becomes a kind of different meaning for people, basically.
Emma also challenges one of the most damaging narratives many people carry. I don't exercise. Her gentle reframe is powerful. If you walk, you move. If you stretch, you move. If you breathe and shift your body through the day, you move. We are designed to move. So you do exercise. Somewhere along the way, we built an entire industry around exercise, one that focuses heavily on how we look rather than how we feel. And I'll be honest, I've fallen into that trap myself. Even without fitting the stereotype of someone who needs to exercise, I've struggled with motivation when movement became about aesthetics instead of well-being. It's only when I returned to the movement as a way to feel better, to regulate my mind and emotions, that it becomes sustainable, and actually it becomes enjoyable. Movement isn't punishment, it's communication with our bodies. Raji Sundar in episode 148 offers yet another powerful perspective. Raji speaks about movement in the same breath as eating, drinking and breathing, that it is essential. She even reflects on how sad that it is that movement has become a topic at all, rather than moving naturally woven into everyday life. Raji, can you tell me a little bit about why is movement so important for human beings?
Movement is an integral part of your life, just like, you eat, you drink, you breathe, and movement, humans are meant to move. And we've been doing this a lot. And now, because of this transport system, the technology, we become a couch potato as a nation, as in the world. There's less movement. So movement have always been, it's something you consume, you eat, and then, so you need to burn the calories. So movement, if you take it mathematically, calculation or whatever, that needs movement. And so sadly, kind of movement has been kind of become a topic now, whereas initially it was part of our life. And we never said movement because we moved from one place to another. There were less transports, So all this has changed. So yeah, that's the kind of movement to me is like breathing and eating and sleeping.
Man, so it's literally that core foundation towards what we need in life. Now, can you tell me about society and community? Where do you see us as a society right now in terms of movement and health? And also, what can we do in our society?
Yeah. So I think there's more kind of people are becoming more conscious at kind of movement and any kind of movement, like, people are more than kind of common people who are not kind of introduced to sports from a young age. They're thinking walking. Walking is the simplest active kind of movement, and people are becoming more conscious. So that's good, but there's more needs to be done. Like every day, how could you integrate? We're talking about this carbon footprint and stuff like that, and then you go out, even like athletes and runners, we are sometimes guilty because you do like a 10-mile run and soon as you come back and then you say, you take your car to the nearest Tesco's. Why? Because we need that kind of change in our kind of, how we approach the movement. So for me, even I'm guilty of that. So I work in like a library just like a mile from my house. And sometimes, I do all my exercises and weather is great. But it didn't take my car out, because it's easy. I want to get there in 5 minutes. It's going to take me 15 minutes to get there. nice and fresh. So I have changed, So that self-reflection is important. But as a community, I think we should encourage each other to say, oh, did you walk today? Where have you been? How many steps did you do? Something like that. So just to encourage.
I remember when I was living in America and I used to go to the gym and it used to be 5 minutes away, like 5-minute walk away. Yeah. And there's people in my place where I used to stay, they would drive to the gym and then do a 10-minute run as their warm-up. And I was like, why don't you just run the 3 minutes to the gym?
Yeah.
Use that as 3 minutes of your warm-up and then do a 7-minute warm-up. Yeah. And it was just this, like you said, it's a cultural normal. The cultural norm is completely different. We expect to get to places easy. Why do humans always want the easy way? Like, do you know the answer to that? Well, why do we always want to, I don't want to move. Yeah. I just want to be sat down in my car to get to where I need. Like, why do we try and avoid it?
So for me, it's more than easy. It's also might be the quickest way as well. It's there, and we're always in a hurry. And when we talk about movement, then we come toward this mental well-being, mindfulness, and all that. We are always in a rush to get to something, to do something, and that extra 5 minutes or 10 minutes that we use this for movement. You're in a much better state. So if I walk that 15 minutes and I come and then open up my laptop, I'm in a much fresher state. Whereas I take this, the same drive 5 minutes, I'm all over, the traffic, and then someone honks and this, and then you come up in a much worse state. It's a false sense of economy or something like that, when you say, So people want, as you say, they want it faster and easier as well, but it's not actually easy in the long run.
Raji talks about raising our consciousness and awareness, because too often we forget just how vital movement is until our bodies or our minds force us to listen. So as we close this episode, there are 3 gentle reminders about the importance of movement. Number 1, movement is medicine, not measurement. It doesn't need to be intense, impressive, or visible to others. It only needs to support you. Number 2, movement reconnects us to ourselves. It grounds us in our bodies. It calms the nervous system and reminds us that we're alive, not just that we're functioning. And number 3, movement thrives in community and accountability. Whether it's a walking partner, a class, a group chat, or a shared commitment, community helps us remember and return and keep going. Movement isn't just about doing more. It's about coming back to what we were always designed to do. Thank you for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please leave a comment in the comment section below, and we cannot wait to see you for our next episode.